Today we're making pasta alla vodka. There's not a lot of pasta recipes out there that tick as many boxes as this one does. Low prep, few ingredients, big flavor, and a great excuse to get the vodka out. And yes, the booze actually plays a vital part in this recipe. When used in the right way, it will boost the aromatic qualities of the final dish, so we want it in there. Let me show you exactly what I'm talking about. To the kitchen.
Let's start with a bit of prep and mincing one medium onion. To do this, I will typically start by cutting off the stem to expose the inner layers. Then slice through the root to split the onion into two while keeping the root intact to hold the onion layers together. We'll next make a number of evenly spaced out incisions along the length without cutting through the whole onion. And this is where the root end comes into play. A couple of slices against those incisions will form a square pattern that we'll lastly cut through to get a very fine dice or a mince. We also need to mince 4 or 5 garlic cloves depending on their size. A quick bash against the cloves helps release their peels. Starting with a rough slice and moving into a rock chop, we're looking to get fairly small, equally sized garlic pieces that will cook quickly and evenly. Pasta without parmesan is no pasta in my book, so box graters out. The zester side on a box grater will give you great results for grating parmesan. It produces very fine crumbs of cheese that melt very easily and reduce the chances of curdling. About 50 grams of parmesan should be plenty for two, but I'll be the last to judge you if you decide to splurge. And that means we're pretty much done with our mandatory prep. But there's one more optional, yet highly potent secret ingredient I'd like to propose. A tiny bit of this additive goes a long way, and it practically melts into the sauce, leaving behind its pungent aromatic qualities and peppery presence. You may face challenges in supplying this product, but with big risk comes big reward. It packs a punch and can supercharge the traditional ingredient list, so my advice would be, go get it. Of course I'm talking about nduja. This Calabrian pork sausage is a completely optional part of this recipe, but it adds heat and spice that cut through the rich sauce. It's super soft and spreadable and will just melt with the rest of the ingredients, imbuing the sauce with its magical flavors. No real prep here, we're just setting aside a small amount, some of which will make its way into the sauce. This can almost be treated as a seasoning, but nduja can also be served for different ingredients for a similar result. A cured peppery Italian salami minced into small chunks or cubed for a bit of a bite would also work wonders in our rich sauce. Chorizo out of its casing would be a great addition for similar textural and aromatic results and is likely to be more readily available and less punchy compared to the nduja. For a meat-free option, you could omit the sausage completely and go for a touch of chili paste or just a pinch of dried chili flakes. And this officially concludes our prep. Moving over to the stove, ideally we want to cook the aromatics in a large enough portal pan that will fit both the sauce and the pasta so that we can easily combine them later on. Turn the heat on medium and let the pan come up to temp. We'll add a tablespoon of unsalted butter and let it melt and coat the bottom of the pan. In go our diced onion and garlic along with a pinch of salt. We want to sweat these over gentle heat while stirring occasionally so that they mellow out but keep some of their gnarly character. Once the aromatics have softened up a bit, after 2 or 3 minutes on the stove, this is where we want to add in our spicy nduja sausage. Again, this stuff packs a punch, so a little bit will go a long way. We want this to be a subtle, delectable nuance rather than a downright smack in the face. Anyways, this stuff just needs a gentle push with the back of a wooden spoon and it will inevitably melt away into the aromatics. Next up is a small tin of tomato paste or about 150 grams. We'll stir in the tomato paste so that it mixes in with the kraut. A couple of minutes of stirring over gentle heat will awaken its sleeping aroma and complete the base of our soon-to-be vodka sauce. Once you feel the tomatoes in the air and the paste gets thickened, we'll come behind with 300 ml of heavy cream. This will deglaze the pan and release any of the foam that may be stuck on the bottom. And we want all of that goodness in, since it's packed with flavor. We're gonna reduce the cream to a saucy consistency over gentle heat while stirring before finally introducing about 80 ml of not horrible quality vodka. We'll be eating this stuff, not drinking it, so might as well show some class. We'll return to stirring everything over gentle heat to reduce the sauce once more and kill some of the alcohol in it. When we're happy with its consistency, we're going in with our boiled pasta, which reminds me that we didn't discuss pasta options. Technically, pasta alla vodka is most commonly known as penne alla vodka. So if you want to stick to the traditional pasta shape, penne is what you want to go for. Thanks to their twirly shape, fusilli do an amazing job at holding on to the sauce, so they too are a good option. Oh, and they have a funny jiggle to them when they're cooked. I'm personally going for rigatoni because I feel they give you a more toothsome experience, but I don't think you could go wrong with whatever pasta you choose. You probably know the protocol by now, but either way we're taking a large pot of water to a rolling boil and salting heavily so that it can season the pasta while it's cooking. About 250 grams or half a typical pack of pasta would be a good spot for 2 people. Once the pasta is nearly done, we'll want to hold on to a cup of starchy pasta water that we'll use to control the viscosity of the sauce. Now that we can return to where we left off, we'll drain the pasta and add it to our awaiting sauce, along with a touch of the reserved pasta water. Over low heat, we want to move the pasta around so that the starch we introduced thickens the sauce and the pasta gets coated thoroughly. If the sauce becomes a little too thick, some additional pasta water will bail you out. Turn the heat off to ensure the smooth melting of the cheese and sprinkle it in. Stir the pasta around so that it melts gently and we should be good to go. Just a final crack of salt. A quick taste to ensure all is well. And we can plate ourselves a generous pile. And finish with a touch of fresh parsley for visual contrast and yet another aromatic boost. And there you have it. As promised, this is a low maintenance dish that only requires a few staple ingredients, with the fearsome exception of the optional nduja. It comes together very quickly, but doesn't skip on any of the flavor or the creamy richness. In fact, this might be my favorite pasta of the moment. Of course, I wouldn't expect you to just make it your favorite pasta until you've actually made your own. Oh, and since you've made it this far, you might as well subscribe. Until next time.